Hi guys, this is Lane Wilkinson here, and it has been a while since I've uploaded anything from this channel. That's just because a couple weeks ago I was in the hospital and I got diagnosed with something, called lupus, which is a chronic illness that cannot be cured at the moment. But it's not too important to the video. So today we're going to be reviewing the Babs and Buster plushes released by Playskool in 1990, and I got both of them on eBay right now. So now Tiny Toon Adventures is a cartoon I've been watching recently. I've always been a big fan of Looney Tunes and the Looney Tunes show, so I gave Tiny Toon Adventures a chance, and so far I think it's a really great cartoon. There are a lot of mediocre episodes, but most episodes are pretty much watchable, and they're very entertaining to watch. So that's just what I think about Tiny Toon Adventures as a cartoon. I currently only seen the entire first season. I plan on wanting to try to get my hands on the other volume DVD sets. So, and yes, I'll be making a couple Tiny Toon videos on this channel. So basically, in 1990, so the same year the show came out, Playskool, which, in case you don't know, is a subsidiary of Hasbro, had the license. They were one of the licensees for making Tiny Toon Adventure merchandise, and they made plushes. Well, they actually made 3 sets of plushes, one being a small size set and the other being a large size set. And I have both Babs and Buster in the large size, and they were all in boxes, because as you can see in the footage, you could see that the Buster I got on eBay was still in its original window box display. And the presentation on the large box is pretty good. Same with the small size, though surprisingly the small size boxes actually have different packaging variations. I'm not so sure why. The back of the box features the characters in the large box, like there's Babs and Buster, and then there's also Plucky Duck and Dizzy Devil. But in the small size plush set, not only do they have Babs and Buster, but instead of Plucky and Dizzy Devil, they have Hampton and Furball. So yeah, I have the plushes with me. I think I'm going to do Babs first since she's my favorite, so here is Babs Bunny. And basically the premise of Tiny Toon Adventures is that they're basically the Looney Tunes characters, but they're like younger incarnations. So you could see both Babs and Buster Bunny. They're both based on Bugs Bunny in personality and appearance. And let me know if I should review plushes in the future, with my face showing, because I think you probably might get a better look at the plushes while my face is showing. So here is Babsy. The show is his best character, of course. Well, everybody has a favorite, but I like Babs more because growing up, watching the Looney Tunes cartoons on Cartoon Network and Boomerang, I would always get excited about the Bugs Bunny cartoons the most. But why do I like Babs more than Buster? Maybe I'll explain why after, I review the Buster, but... So yeah, I'm not so sure if this was the first ever Babs plush to ever be made, because that same year, Applause got the license to make Tiny Toon Adventure stuff, and they made a Babs Bunny of their own. I guess it looks slightly better. I mean, it has some elements that makes it better than the Playskool plush, but the Playskool plush does have some elements that I think are better than the Applause. But if I ever get my hands on the Applause Babs plush, maybe I'll explain some of the comparisons. But yeah, in terms of how she looks, I'd say she does look accurate to Babs from the cartoon. Maybe a little off, but there is just a lot of charm to the Playskool plushes that you can't really get elsewhere. Her ears are actually, there's like cardboard in here that helps her ears to stand up. They're a little floppy though, so. And then there's her little bows. And that's her little hair. Her eyes and nose are made of plastic. Now, there's some scratches of it because I bought it used on eBay for around probably $12, I think. I don't remember. But it wasn't pretty, well, it was a little dirty when I got her, but I did wash both Babs and Buster. Because basically what I did was, like, I took off their clothes, which is going to be something I'll mention later. And then I put them in the washing machine, though I actually sprayed some of the details I thought would be hard to remove. Like, her muzzle had, like, some, like, ketchup or tomato sauce on it. That one I could get rid of, but I used some scissors to get rid of it. Very carefully. Here's what her mouth looks like. Here's her teeth, which are, they're a little yellow if you could see. The teeth are a little bit yellow. Here's her ginormous feet. They're also a little yellow too, but really it's an old plush. Like, it's kind of hard to get rid of things that are yellow. I mean, I've seen some Tiny Toons plushes where the eyes are yellow because, you know, it's that thing where, like, white plastic, you know, sometimes they're unlucky and they get yellowed as they progress because of age. Now the clothes are actually removable, like on the back. You can see that there's like a Velcro that you could take off the clothes. And also not to mention that Babs' clothes are in one piece. In fact, you can actually fold the skirt onto her shirt, like about halfway down. Babs doesn't have any clothes on. Though actually, I wanted to, let me take her tail off really quick. I'm actually want to show you the tush tag first, but to do that, at least the easier way, because I'm not going to do the hard way, I have to roll up the skirt and put it on her shirt. So here's what the tush tag looks like. If you can't see it, I'll make sure I take a photo of it. That's the Playskool logo, made in Thailand. And on the back has like the Tiny Toons logo, and you can see that there's Babs Bunny's name. Copyright 1990, Warner Brothers. All rights reserved. So yeah, I just wanted to show you what the tush tag looks like. So overall, I really like this plush a lot. It looks accurate to how Babs looks in the cartoon for the most part. One gripe I kind of have is for some reason Babs doesn't have her white tummy fur, which is weird because the Buster in the set that I'll review later on in this video has his tummy fur. Now I'm not so sure if it's because of a cost-cutting measure. They probably wanted to save money or something. Or either that, or it's probably most likely because there's this weird inconsistency in the cartoon where in some shots or in some episodes Babs is seen with a white tummy fur and other times it's not there. Like animation errors, because the show was made with animation cells. Another flaw that also has to do with the show is her tail, because Bugs Bunny has a pointy tail and Buster does, but Babs actually does not have a pointy tail. She actually has like a cotton ball. That's something that the other companies did with their Babs plushes, and to some extent their Buster as well. Though there have been some animation like errors or shots where they depict Babs with with the pointy tail, just like Buster Bunny. And one more very last flaw in this plush is that her sleeve should be a lot longer. Like, Babs does not have the Princess Peach ball-shaped shoulders. Like, I'm not so sure where they got that from. Like, I get that, like, her sleeves are sometimes rolled up, but like, only, like, to her elbow. But yeah, I really think the sleeve should have been a lot longer. But aside from that, this is a really good Babs Bunny plush. I probably would grade her maybe a B. So yeah. So it's a really good plush that I recommend to any fans from Tiny Toon Adventures. It's a great plush. Moving on from Babs, we have another Tiny Toon counterpart of Bugs Bunny, Buster Bunny. And yes, they're both based on Bugs Bunny. I know a lot of people like to associate her with Lola Bunny, but Lola Bunny didn't appear until 1996's Space Jam, which, oddly enough, her original design in Space Jam actually uses some of Babs Bunny's features, like, for example, her teeth and eyes. So yeah, that's just something interesting. I kind of thought that a lot of people, because I never did a lot of Tiny Toon stuff on this channel before, you know, I've been posting a lot of Babs Bunny stuff on, like, the community section of my channel, and apparently a lot of people seem to understand that Babs is supposed to be the young version of Bugs, and, you know, alongside Buster. Because usually, a lot of people would credit Buster as the Tiny Toon version of Bugs, but maybe I'll talk about that later. You know, when I talk about my opinions on Babs and Buster as characters. So here's Buster. He was new in the box, but he was super dirty. I think he was a lot worse, because I'm not so sure if it's because he was been in storage for a very long time, but like his muzzle was like super dirty. He was just dirty overall. There were some areas that were super dirty, dirty. Anyways, as I was saying, so I did the exact same thing that I did with Babs, is that I put him in the washing machine. Well, I take off his clothes first, put him in the washing machine, and he looks good as new. Again, like Babs, his nose and eyes are made of plastic. His hair is a lot more fluffier. Like, he has actually more hair on his head than Babs does. I'm not so sure why. He also has the eyebrows for some reason. The Babs one doesn't for some reason. And even on the side of the window display, which I actually kept, it shows Babs without eyebrows, and it shows Buster with them. Now, in the show, sometimes they appear, sometimes they don't. So it's not really much of an... Well, it's kind of inconsistent that Buster has the eyebrows and the white tummy fur, and Babs doesn't. I feel like they should both have that feature, because I kind of like it when best friends share the exact same features. He's a lot fluffier. He has a lot more plush than my Babs. I think that's just probably just because of the Babs plush I bought was used, and this one was basically still in its original window display box. So Buster is a little different from Babs, because in comparison, well, actually, one thing unique about Buster is that they've sewn this area on his ear, so his ear is pre-posed to be pointing down. And that's not on Babs at all. Also, I noticed that Buster's pointy tail is a lot bigger than Babs. Like, if I just show you the size comparisons between their tails. Also, their teeth are different. It's hard to see the teeth on Buster, but he does have that Bugs Bunny teeth. Also they're a lot smaller than Babs. Cause like, so since both characters are based on Bugs Bunny, they do share the exact same features that Bugs Bunny has. Cause Buster Bunny is, they kind of both have the exact same personalities as Bugs, but Buster is a bit more mischievous than Babs, and even a little more mischievous than Bugs himself. He could sometimes be a jerk, to be honest, but he's not an awful character, to be honest. I wouldn't say he's my favorite, but I think I like Hampton a little more, to be honest. But usually when I get Babs Bunny toys, because usually when it comes to shows like Tiny Toons, I like to focus on just getting merchandise of one character. Sometimes it's just hard not to get the Buster to go with the Babs, because they're best friends and they go together. In terms of Babs' personality, she has more of Bugs' humor, because what I like about Babs more than Buster is that I feel like she just has more character, you know? She kind of reminds me of Pasquale from Chuck E. Cheese in terms of how they handle comedy. Well, Babs does. I also like how Babs is very fashionable because in the show she dresses up as a lot of things and does impressions, and I like to do voice impressions too. Not to mention that there's also running jokes with her appearance. Like, for example, Babs has really big feet, and I in real life have big feet too, so I feel like when it comes to how I think of Bugs Bunny as a character, I associate a lot of Bugs' personality on Babs more, and that's kind of why I like Babs more than Buster, and that's why she's my favorite character. A lot of people really like Fifi LaFume so much, and I don't really know why. Like, because the episodes I've seen with her, I'm just not a huge fan. Like, she's just not really interesting of a character to me. It's either that or I'm just not a huge Pepe Le Pew fan. Because again, growing up watching the original Looney Tunes shorts on Cartoon Network, I would always be excited about the Bugs Bunny cartoons the most. In terms of their appearances, Buster has Bugs Bunny's eyes and teeth. Oh yeah, and tail. And Babs, on the other hand, has Bugs Bunny's nose and muzzle, of course. Their muzzles are actually different. You can't see that on the plushes, but if you watch the show, you'll know that the Babs Bunny's muzzle, it looks exactly like Bugs' muzzle, while Buster's muzzle is a lot more rounder. Also, I mean, usually they're both depicted as being the exact same body type, but there was this one episode where Babs was fat-shaming Buster, you know, because Buster ordered an ice cream cone that had a lot of scoops. And so I like to believe that that Babs is a little skinnier than Buster. So I like to think that Babs shares Bugs Bunny's body proportions, at least when it comes to the torso and the feet, because in the Looney Tunes show, like, Bugs Bunny has really humongous feet. So yeah, they often get mistaken as boyfriend and girlfriend, and even though there have been some evidence to support that, like they kiss a lot of times, and all. I, for one, only see Buster and Babs Bunny as nothing but just best friends. No relation, of course. Forgot to mention that they're not related. I kind of see their friendship as more of like a mix between SpongeBob and Patrick and Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning. That's the comparison I'm comparing. And it's not that I don't support them as a love relationship. I actually like a lot of fan art that depict them as a romance, but overall I just only see them as best friends. So yeah, so I would grade Buster. For some reason, even though I prefer Babs Bunny as a character and as a plush, I do think the Buster is a little better, and a little more unique, more able to stand out compared to Babs. I probably would give Buster a B+. So yeah, so overall I recommend both Babs and Buster from Playskool. There's also some other good plushes of them as well, like there's the Applause plushes that have some improvements, and there's also the plushes from Caltoy. I mean, there's a lot of good plushes of these characters out there, so, and they're not too expensive. I'm pretty sure you can get these small and big size plushes for a decent price. There's also another set of Babs and Buster plushes made by Playskool. They're the exact same size as these, except that they actually talked. On the back of those plushes, they had like a pull string, like Woody's from Toy Story. And I've always been wanting to get the Talking Babs plush as well, because having Tress MacNeille's voice on a Babs plush would just make my day. Though the only problem is that I think she might be a lot rarer than the Talking Buster, because I recently just saw a listing of a Talking Buster on eBay auction, but I've yet to see the Talking Babs on eBay yet. I've seen a lot of eBay archive listings on WorthPoint, And the recent one I found was as recent as 2018. I'm not so sure why that's the case. Maybe just because, you know, the main demographic just prefers boy characters, but I don't really know why. Though one of the WordPoint listings actually, in the description, shared all 4 of Babs Bunny's phrases. So I know what phrases she says, but the problem is that there's no footage of the plush in action outside of the commercial. Same for Buster. I unfortunately do not know what phrases Buster says outside of that one '90s commercial that uses one of the phrases. I think it was, "Talk to me, I'm all ears." Yeah, so I don't know what the other 3 phrases Buster says. But yeah, I would love to get my hands on the Talking Babs and to some extent the Buster. If you want to know the differences, aside from the pull string in the back, their packaging is different. It's a lot more, the window display is a lot more protective. Not to mention that the proportions are a lot more wider. And also on the touch tag, instead of Buster Bunny's touch tag saying Buster Bunny, it says Talking Buster Bunny. Same thing with Babs. So those are the differences I know from the pictures I saw on the internet. So both Babs and Buster from Playskool. No matter if it's the talking plushes or the large plushes I have or the small size plushes, they're really good plushes. Not just because they're Babs and Buster Bunny, but just also because they're really top quality plushes from 1990. So yeah, so thank you for watching this video, and hopefully you'll expect more reviews in the future.